Solusi sehat keluarga Anda. www.klinikwinarto.com.
Hernia, tedun, sembuh tanpa operasi dan injeksi. Ribuan pasien telah tertolong, sembuh dengan baik dan sempurna. Info dan konsultasi, hubungi klinik alternatif Winarto.
Sort of bulge through these abdominal walls. So now I'm just going to draw the inguinal hernia, as we saw before. And here's the intestine, which is bulging sort of through the abdominal wall, pushing against the abdominal wall. And here we have the same image of the right side of the sort of groin area. And then we have hernias, the inguinal hernias. And there are two types of inguinal hernia. We have what's known as indirect. So an indirect inguinal hernia is the one that sort of bulges through the abdominal wall and actually goes into the scrotum. So it sort of follows the spermatic cord pathway. And then you have a direct inguinal hernia, which is just a hernia that sort of bulges through the abdominal wall and doesn't actually go down the scrotum. So what differentiates these two types of inguinal hernias, the direct and indirect, is the important landmark that we talked about, which is the inferior epigastric artery. And here we have the inferior epigastric artery. And essentially, if the inguinal hernia occurs medially to the inferior epigastric artery, it's a direct hernia. But if it begins laterally, then it's an indirect hernia. Now, talking about indirect hernia, it follows the spermatic cord pathway, because an indirect hernia actually originates from the deep inguinal ring. It goes through the deep inguinal ring and the superficial inguinal ring. And so this is obviously the same pathway, the spermatic cord, and so the intestine will actually follow this pathway, follow the spermatic cord pathway, and into the scrotum. Now, an important landmark area, important region to know, to remember for hernias is known as the Hesselbach's triangle. And so the borders of the Hesselbach's triangle is the inguinal ligament inferiorly. You have the inferior epigastric laterally, and then you have the rectus abdominis medially.
بحسني